I occasionally listen to the Australian public service radio station Triple J, owned by our ABC. I only listen to the radio in the car. I don't drive that often, but when I do, the children mostly want to listen to commercial pop music, which is fine, but those stations tend to have a couple of highly paid hosts who just rabbit on endlessly about sometimes ridiculous topics, and I end up losing my cool and switching over to Triple J. As a publicly funded radio station, it is supposed to be politically impartial. However, in recent years, I find it anything but. One example, the other day it was raining, so I was driving the kids to school, and I flicked over to Triple J. They were playing a song by the heavy metal band Thornhill, who come from Melbourne, and when the song finished, the host said something like, "And that was Obsession by Thornhill, who hail from Naarm, located on the lands of the great Kulin Nation." Yes, it was cheesy, and yes, it pissed me off. I immediately switched back to the pop music channel. My kids weren't that interested in the Triple J music, but they asked me why I switched back. I said because of what they said about Naarm and so on. My son said, "Naarm? What's that? Like Vietnam?" Then I said, "You don't know what Naarm is?" Apparently he didn't. He's in high school, by the way. So I asked my daughter, who's in primary school, "Do you know what they meant by Naarm and the Kulin Nation?" And she said, "Naarm? Like naan bread? I guess they're from India." Both my children go to public school in Queensland. I just assumed they would be indoctrinated with all these Aboriginal place names. But no, they had no idea. After speaking to them again about it, they had absolutely no clue what Naarm was. Melbourne is obviously not Naarm. Melbourne is Melbourne. It was founded and built by European settlers. Perhaps we can agree that there was a region called Naarm by the local Aboriginal people prior to European settlement, but the modern city of Melbourne is Melbourne. That's how it was officially named in 1837. To say otherwise is rewriting history and ignoring the great accomplishments made by our European ancestors. Here's Triple J's introduction to their breakfast program, which neither introduces the program nor welcomes its listeners, unless, of course, they are of a certain ancestry.
Triple J would like to pay our respects to this country's First Peoples, First Nations listeners, artists, and traditional custodians of the land throughout Australia. We recognise their unbroken, continuing connection to land, waters, and community. And we pay our respects to them and their cultures and to elders past, present and future.
You just have to look at the Triple J website for other examples of their virtue signalling. For example, this article about Australian singer Sicko. In the article, they of course write, "To celebrate her new EP, the Naarm-based singer-songwriter." It seems like you're not allowed to say Melbourne anymore. They continue, "Kicking off on Dharawal country Wollongong." Isn't Wollongong already an Aboriginal name? Why do they have to say Dharawal country? This is some news from the ABC from July 2025. I don't know how this is news, but let's run with it. Chasing Ghosts, Jimmy Kyle on new album Therapy, Reconciliation and Tackling Tough Topics. In the photo, one band member is wearing a Treaty for Victoria t-shirt. This news is actually from Triple J's sister station, Double J. On their webpage, titled Chasing Ghosts Therapy, they describe the new album as Therapy is the fourth album from First Nations-fronted Naarm rock band Chasing Ghosts. They, of course, describe the inequity and intergenerational trauma still faced by First Nations people. This leads on to my final question. Has Triple J essentially become a cheering squad for Aboriginal activism, just posing as a radio station?